Are we having fun yet? National motivational speaker Rich DiGirolamo believes people learn best when they're having a good time. Specializing in employee engagement, morale boosting, and working with new leadership, Rich uses humor through his presentations, trainings, and team-building workshops. Founder of National Recess at Work Day, Rich teaches audiences to shine rather than whine. Whether your message is serious or the staff just needs some time together to laugh together, Rich is your guy, delivering your message in an inspirational, entertaining, and yes, fun way.
Okay, it's confession time. Right here, right now. I have a simple question. I want an honest answer. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to look down on you. I promise this information will not end up in your personnel file. I need to know right here and right now by a show of hands who in this room has actually had the privilege, and I'm going to call it a privilege, who in this room has had the privilege of being issued a speeding ticket? One. Oh! Good. Okay, your hand went up first, miss. So you know the feeling. You know that feeling. You're driving down the road, you know, maybe you're like, you're driving down the road and maybe the music's cranking and then all of a sudden, oh, darn. You see those lights. And you know that feeling. It's that feeling like, well, like when your boss comes to your office or your cubicle and says, I need to see you. You know, when you've just been busted for doing something wrong. And that police officer walks over to your car, and they ask for that license and that registration, and you hand it to them, and they're walking back to their car, and you're sitting in your seat, and then you look up in that mirror again a couple of minutes later, and you see them step out of the vehicle, and they're walking back towards you. And even right up until that moment, you're hoping that they're only going to hand you back the original 2 documents. But they don't. And now you're a criminal. Show of hands again with those people who actually received the speeding ticket. Folks, these are your criminals. Okay? Or as I like to call them, these are your risk takers within the organization. If you need somebody to take a risk, to take a chance, these are the people you want to talk to. Now, who in this room has actually been able to talk themselves out of a speeding ticket? Okay. I've got 3. You know, look, I don't know what you did, whether it's bribery, okay, or whether you showed something. Although, have you seen that commercial recently? There's this commercial. I think it's for Honda. And there's a female race car driver. I think her name is Danica. And she's racing down the road, and she gets all pulled over, and she starts showing some cleavage. Okay, and then the police officer walks over to the car to ask for the license and registration, looks up, and it's a female police officer. Although I do think the commercial is outdated because this is the year 2007, and you know that could actually work these days. So the 3 of you have actually talked yourself out of a speeding ticket. So you know that feeling too as you get pulled over. You're creating the lie. Why are you doing it? Folks, these are your liars. Or as I like to call them, these are the creative problem solvers within your organization. Okay? These are the people when you need a creative take on something, when you need something innovative. Those are the 3 ladies you go to. How many in this room have never received a speeding ticket? You never speed. You stop at every stop sign, every traffic light. Okay, there's always one, the brown noser. Okay? But I will tell you something, these are not the brown nosers. These, to me, are the people you can turn to if you need to know anything in your organization. They're what I call the wealths of knowledge. Okay? You need to know a policy. You need to know a form. You need to know some type of a decision. What's been made? Trust me, those are the people you go to. And last but not least, does anybody here not drive? Well, nobody in the room today is anybody who, you know, everybody seems to drive. But those, in my mind, those are the people who are probably the most resourceful. I mean, think about it. You and I, we get up in the morning, we have someplace to go, we walk out to our car, we get off and go. Those people got to figure out what mode of transportation, who can I bum a ride off, maybe some of you for all I know. Are they going to hoof it? Are they going to bike it? Now, some people actually think loser because they don't have a car. I think resourceful. And folks, this is how I look at people. I don't look at people as criminals. I don't look at people as liars. I don't look at people as brown nosers. I don't look at people as losers. I look at people for what they bring to the table. I put a spin, basically. on all those things. And that's what we're going to do here today. The rest of our time together, we're going to do two things. The first thing I'm going to do with you is share some ideas, suggestions, and some examples on how you can start looking at people, places, and things in a completely different manner that will make you and your organization operate a whole lot better. Would you like that? Yes. The second thing we're going to do here today, how many of you would actually like to learn how to get permission to speed? We're going to do that as well. So my friends don't think I work. They think I sit at home and surf the web all day long. Now, I learned something a long time ago. I learned that those who criticize are typically the biggest offenders. I learned that those who accuse are typically the guilty. So when my friends start making suggestions that I don't work, I keep my mouth shut. But how many of you have actually ever thought about that? How many of you have actually looked at people in your organization and said, what do they do? Do they really do anything? What's their role? Did you ever ask? You know, it's amazing how we all kind of we walk up and down the halls. Okay, we gather off in the corners by the water cooler out at lunch, and we talk about people. Well, what does she do? I mean, she just seems to sit at her desk all day long. Did you ever notice something? No, she's actually sitting at her desk doing something. You're walking up and down the halls wondering what she's doing. I think, you know, maybe we need to start looking in the mirror as to what we're doing at work and what our role is. Ask. It's a three-letter word, and it's a three-letter word that so many people don't take advantage of. When we want to know things about people, when we want to know things about an organization, when we want to know things about what's going on, all we need to do is ask. But for some reason, we don't. And if you don't want to ask, let me share something with you. It was June 1985. I was riding the New York City subway. Have any of you ridden the New York City subway? Now, I have not been on a New York City subway ride in years. But I do remember back then. I do remember there were these people called conductors, and I think they still have them. And they spent their day in these little, we'll call them closets. And every so often you would pull into a station and you would hear something like this, Fifth Street. And you were supposed to figure out where you were. And this particular morning, it's rush hour, I am sitting there reading my newspaper. It was 1985, I was still in college, just for those of you who are trying to age me. And that conductor makes that announcement, and this little girl standing right above me, she couldn't have been more than 12 or 13 years old. She says to her mother, "Oh, a conductor. What an awful job that would be." And I sat there and I went, you know, she's kind of right. In that closet, in the dark, going back and forth. Occasionally, every few minutes, you come into fluorescent lights. I know it's not how I want to spend my day. And for a moment there, I thought, you know what? This kid's right. And I'm reading my newspaper because I don't want people to know that I eavesdrop. Do you eavesdrop? You should. It's great. It's fascinating. And I heard the sweetest voice, the voice that all these years later, I still remember. I heard the mother say to the daughter, everybody has a job, and every job is important. And I just went, whoa! And I looked up at this woman, and there she was, this beautiful, light-skinned black woman, perfect makeup. Okay. I still remember the lipstick, as pink as your shirt, sir. Okay. And I just looked up at her, and I just gave her a nod. And she just gave me a smile. But if you really think about it, I mean, right here in this hotel, look, there are people that clean your rooms. And there are a lot of people that don't really look up to people who clean their rooms. They look down on people that clean their rooms. But the fact of the matter is, if your room's not clean, you're not checking in. If my room's not clean and this hotel's known for it, I'm not coming back. And if I'm not coming back, what's happening to this hotel's business? It's going away. And you could take that type of a stance with just about every role. So those people in your organization that you're maybe thinking, what do they do? What's their role? First, I'm going to tell you to ask. But if you're not comfortable with that, remember the gorgeous lady on the subway. So how many of you remember Julie, the cruise director? How many of you have no idea what I'm talking about? I hate you. Okay. All right, there used to be this television show. It was called The Love Boat. There was this cruise director. Her name was Julie. Do I need to go any further, ladies? You got me now. You're with me. Well, in my life, I'm Julie, the cruise director. In my corporate life, I was the one that people always turned to when fun things needed to happen. I was always the one that people turned to when spirits needed to be lifted. I was always the one that was organizing the troops to go out for lunch or go out for happy hour. In my personal life, I'm Julie, the cruise director. I'm the one that's hosting the parties. I'm the one that's organizing the friends to get together to go out and do something. That's my role. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? Do I have a Julie in the room? Is there another Julie here? Okay, 1, 2. Okay, it's a tough role, isn't it? I mean, don't you wish just for once somebody else would do it? You're a liar. Okay, we're control freaks, you and I. Okay, we thrive on it. Nobody could do it as good as us. Nobody could do it better. She's agreeing with me here. Okay, this is our role. Okay, and that's what we're supposed to do. We all fall into roles. Look, mine's Julie. There's the role of caregiver. There's the role of boss, mom, dad, disciplinarian. I have a very good friend, Lucy. I call her the voice of reason. That's her role. We have a group of friends, let's just say we're all type A's. And you put a whole bunch of type A's together for like extended periods of time. Could you see where like some conflict might happen? Okay. Lucy's always the one that brings us right down to the ground. She's our voice of reason. That's her role. But today I'm asking you maybe not to look at it as a role. I'm asking you to look at it as a gift. Because I believe it truly is a gift. I believe the role, or the gift is what we're going to call it from now, henceforth. I believe that gift is something that you can actually use. I believe that gift is something that you can actually use to make your work life better and your home life better. Perhaps there's some organizational change going on here. Perhaps there are 1 or 2 people that are genuinely struggling with it. Now you've got this gift. How can you take your gift and maybe make this organizational change just a little bit easier for somebody else? Maybe somebody's really struggling with a corporate decision and it's truly impacting their work life. Is there something you can do with your gift that could actually make a difference in somebody else's life? That's how we get through this thing that we call work, by helping each other. Find your gift. Start taking stock of your gifts and start using them.